Hello everyone and welcome to Maximize Your Cooking. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a German type of bread which is called Mehrkorn Brot or Brötchen, which Brötchen just is like a little piece of bread, I guess. And yeah, it's really tasty, it's not too complicated. Basically the seeds, it's like seeded bread, and the seeds are going to be pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and flax seeds. Overall, pretty simple recipe. It works well with sandwiches and overall and toast and jellies. It's just like a basic breakfast bread, all-purpose type of bread, and it's really tasty. It's not too difficult. I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on this seed bread, or if you want to call it Mehrkorn Brot. I got some regular flour. It's about 550 grams. I'll put all of the actual quantities down in the description though. About 550 grams of some regular white flour. I got about 170 grams of rye flour. You're probably not going to have rye flour. It's a little hard to find, especially in America. So you're totally fine to just use some wheat flour. That works. I got about 100 grams of a seed mix. If you find a mix, I guess sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and pumpkin seeds would be ideal, but you could just get each of those separately: pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and sesame. Don't get them salted though. And you also need some sesame seeds for garnishing later on. I got about 17 grams of salt, which is about 2 1/4 teaspoons. Depends what kind of granules you have. Recommend you actually weigh the salt. I got about 58 grams of some honey. You can use agave nectar, even use brown sugar, about 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Yeast, about 14 grams of yeast you'll need, which is about 2 tablespoons. A little under that, I think. And then over here we got some milk and water. It's actually mostly water, even though it looks kind of white. I just put it in this one container because I didn't want to have to have two different ones. But it is 170 grams of milk and 340 grams of water that I warmed up to about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or I guess that's kind of like around 35 Celsius. Anyway, I'll put that all in the description. But those are the ingredients you need, and all you got to do is just mix them all up and eat it. Okay, so if you've seen any of my videos with bread, I have this huge mixer that's a delight to have, but I'm going to throw it all in there. If you don't have a mixer, just mix all those ingredients in a bowl that's large enough to accommodate it, and following that, just knead it until it's kneaded, I guess. That could take about 10-15 minutes. Nothing too particular here. You don't have to get all scientific. Kneading is kneading. You just got to develop gluten in the dough. And then it goes into an overnight refrigeration for fermentation. Put in the flour, 100 grams of the seeds. There goes the salt. I'm going to put in the milk first. Milk and water, really. And I'm going, this is actually wild honey, but if you have regular honey, that's all fine. It's just what I have. And lastly, I'm going to put in the yeast. What I have right here is actually a little bit too little, but it's still going to rise. I know it will. But anyway, I'm going to transfer this over, and I'm going to begin the kneading process. Well, now that it's been about 10 minutes and my dough is done mixing / kneading, I'm transferring it over here, and I'm just going to form it up into a ball, knead it a little bit with my hands, and put it in this bowl, and I'm going to let it sit overnight and just let it ferment so that it's all good tomorrow. And then be taking it out about 2 hours before it's ready to bake tomorrow. Okay, so I got my dough transferred out here. It's a little bit stickier than I want it to be. It should be kind of sticky, like just a little bit of a sticky feel. I know it's kind of hard to understand all the terms because not everybody's perception of sticky is the same. However, in any case, I'm just going to get a little bit of flour on my hands here, and I'm going to try and knead, I'm going to knead a little more. And I'm going to just knead this up a little bit by myself, and then I'm going to put it in the bowl. Okay, so I'm going to turn this into a ball now. And earlier I kind of was talking about how it should be a little bit sticky. You want it to have some moisture because the seeds are going to absorb some of the moisture that's in the dough. So it needs to have a little bit extra because it's going to kind of lose it. It's going to transfer it into the seeds. Anyway, this is a sticky dough, a little bit hard to work with. Just gonna bring all the bottom, all the top down to the bottom, and form a little bit of a, I guess, a tight surface. And honestly, it doesn't really matter because it's just gonna go into a bowl just for fermentation. But that's good enough. I have this lightly oiled here, and just put them in. And cover this with saran wrap, and tomorrow take it out about 2 hours before I'm planning to bake it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's how it's going to go down. This is the whole recipe that I have here. I'm just going to split this in half because I only have one sheet pan that I'm going to use to put all the rolls down and let them rise, and then eventually put them in the oven. So I'm going to split this in half. It's still sticky, it should be, and what you're going to want to try and do is keep it that way. Use flour and such to prevent sticking, but other than that, just have it on the surface and the flour on the surface so that you don't stick to it, so that it can remain still kind of moist inside. So anyway, I got this here. Now, the simplest way to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. Actually, this thing needs some flour around it. But I'm just going to take this dough and spread it out flat. And then I'm just going to make just like square rolls out of it. You've probably seen rolls in this shape before. I'm actually going to use a roller pin because that helps tremendously. And I'm just going to roll this out into a rectangle. You would do the same with the loaf. You'd roll it out into like a rectangle. And then you would basically, if you're doing a loaf, you would just fold this together and then roll it all up, drop it in the loaf pan. There are plenty of good videos out on YouTube that can show you that in more detail. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to show you how to do the rolls because that's how you really see them here in Germany. So, kind of thin, it's going to rise, and unfortunately the sides are a little bit tapered. But that's fine. I'm not here for perfection. I'm just going to split these into pieces now. So the bottom should be, I had some flour in there so it shouldn't stick too much. But before you put it on your sheet pan, which my sheet pan's over here, it can be helpful to make sure there's a little bit of flour on the bottom of the dough, and so it won't stick so much. But anyway, nothing too specific here. You can measure them out and do all that kind of fun, long, tedious junk. I'm just going to go with my eyes and put them into the shapes I want them to be. Simple as that. If you have a pizza cutter, that works perfectly. I don't have a pizza cutter, so I'm just going to work with this dough scraper. About there. Definitely want to try and keep them of equal size, however. And you'll see what this will turn into. And I'll do one. And let's see, this I'll just cut in half. That'll be, I just made here, these are 2 rolls now. And I'll cut this into 3 parts. And, well, this one's fine, it has flour underneath it, but you can kind of see how it's a little bit floured underneath. And I'm just going to put this on to a sheet pan lined with some parchment paper or baking paper. And just do that with the rest of them. Okay, so I transferred them all over to this baking sheet, and now just cover it with some oiled saran wrap and let it rise for about a couple hours until they're of a bigger size, double in size. And then we'll just wash them with some egg wash, chop them with sesame seeds, and bake them at about 350. Okay, so it's been 2 hours and they've risen now. there's only really just a couple more things to do. The oven's already preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 177 Celsius. I got some egg wash. You could do it with egg white if you want, but anyway, it's just an egg with about a couple tablespoons of water in it. And all you gotta do is just rub it over the tops of the breads, and then you put the seeds on. Okay, so I brushed all the rolls with some egg wash. Now it's all there is left to do before you put it in the oven is just dust it off with some sesame seeds. You can use poppy seeds as well if you have them. Anything works. And really, it doesn't matter what seeds you put, but traditionally you'll see sesame seeds on the tops of the breads. Okay, so here they are. They're going in a 350 degree oven, and they're going to go in here for about 20 minutes, but keep an eye on them. Make sure they don't burn or anything like that, and you can rotate them if you want, depends how your oven works, but we'll see how they look coming back here soon. Alrighty, so I had another loaf in there. If you're doing a loaf pan, that's going to take about 50 minutes of baking. Anyway, let's take these out. I had to move it all to the top, so yeah, it gets a little hot on top. Could have a better oven, but you can see there's my loaf. But there they are. Those are Mehrkorn Brötchens, and they're going to be so delicious. I can already tell. It smells absolutely wonderful in here. And I hope you try out this recipe and like it, because it's really, really delicious. And let's check these out a little bit closer here. Ooh, these are going to be tasty. These are going to go perfect in the morning, and I really hope you enjoy them. Thank you for watching Maximize Your Cooking, and keep in tune because there's always more videos to come.